Hey everyone, welcome back to your mat. Today is yoga to refresh your legs. If you're feeling anything like me, your legs are a little sore or a lot sore after the last couple of days of work. So this class is going to stretch you out, leave your legs feeling rejuvenated and refreshed. For this class, you may want to have some props nearby. I have a blanket and then 2 yoga blocks. If you like to practice with blocks, just have them nearby. We're actually going to begin this class on our backs. So go ahead and join me. Down on your back. You can straighten the legs or have the knees bent. If you're going to have the knees bent, I recommend you take your feet as wide as your mat and let your knees rest in against each other in constructive rest. Take one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And we're just going to take some time to breathe. So slow down here, get comfy, make any adjustments you need. And then bring your attention to the breath. Notice your chest rising and falling. Notice your belly rising and falling. Just taking a moment to appreciate the breath, to enjoy it, just as it is in this moment. And then just observe with no judgment, with no expectation. Notice whether your belly or your chest is rising more when you inhale. There's no wrong answer, just notice. Notice if the belly is rising higher, or notice if the chest is rising higher. Whichever part of your body is not rising as high, the belly or the chest, I want you to try to send more of your breath there. So try to make the belly and chest rise together. Filling up the whole torso with breath. Inhaling, chest and belly rise together. Exhaling, chest and belly fall together. Beautiful, beautiful breath. You can start to heel toe the feet back in line with the hips, and then pull that left knee in towards the belly. You can take the right leg long or leave the knee bent, whichever you prefer. And just pull that left knee gently in. Maybe making some circles with your ankles, if that feels good. Just breathing here, enjoying the stretch. Rebend that right knee if you had the leg straight, and then cross the left leg over the right. Take the arms out wide in a T shape or a goalpost shape. Shift the hips slightly over to the left side of your mat, and then bring the knees to the right. If you'd like to place a block under your knees, you can do so to support you. And allow yourself to open up into this reclined twist a little more. Since this twist is at the beginning of our practice rather than the end, you may notice that you feel a little bit tighter than you normally do in this twist. And that's okay, totally normal. Our bodies are still a little bit cold. Start to make your way back to center. Recenter the hips in the middle of your mat, and then slide the left shin across the knee so that your ankle is stacked above the thigh. Coming into figure 4 stretch, pull that right leg in. If it's available to you, you can always use a strap or a rolled up blanket around the back of your thigh if you have trouble reaching the thigh with your hands. Another option is to elevate your head up on a block so you can reach your thigh a little bit easier. Shoulders are relaxed here. Take some deep breaths. And then slowly bring the right foot back down to the mat, uncross the legs. We're going to switch sides, so now drawing the right knee into the chest, keeping the left leg bent, or taking the left leg long, whichever you prefer. Deep breaths in and out. You can take those ankle circles again if that feels good. Enjoying this stretch, enjoying this moment, enjoying this breath. Rebend that left knee, cross your right leg over your left, and then take the arms out at your sides into that T shape or the goalpost shape. Shift the hips slightly off to the right, and then you'll bring the knees over to the left. Again, you can place a block under your knees for support so that you can relax a little bit more into the twist. Deep breaths. Slowly begin to make your way back to center. Recenter the hips in the middle of your mat, and then slide the right shin across so that the right ankle is stacked over the left thigh. Pull the left thigh in, figure 4 stretch. Again, option to elevate the head up on a block, or use a strap or rolled up towel to help you reach the thigh if it's not available to you. On your next inhale, go ahead and release the legs. Bring both knees in, little squeeze. And then if you like, you can start rocking and rolling on the spine to bring yourself up to seated, building yourself momentum. If that doesn't feel good, just roll to one side and press yourself up. And we're going to transition through to tabletop to come into cat-cow. So on your inhale, lift your tailbone up, look forward, melt the heart down, cow pose. On your exhale, press through the hands, tuck the tailbone, tuck the chin, round the spine, cat pose. Flow through a few rounds of cat-cow at your own pace, letting it really feel good in your body. Moving with your breath, moving with your intuition. Rippling slowly through the spine, through each movement. After your next cat pose, go ahead and come back to a neutral spine. Tuck your toes under. So make sure all 10 toes are tucked under. You may need to reach back and actually flip your little pinky toe under. And then we're going to come into a foot stretch. So you're going to bring your hips back towards your heels, walk the hands in. If it's already super intense for you right here, just stay here. If you're not feeling anything quite yet, you can walk the hands up onto the thighs, and I promise you will start to feel it in your feet. This is a very strong foot stretch, and we really never stretch our feet. So this one is great to do after a long day of standing, a long day of walking, maybe after a long run. So important to stretch the bottoms of our feet to avoid stuff like plantar fasciitis. If you're feeling uncomfortable, know that you can transition out or back off anytime you want. But if you can tolerate it for a few more breaths, then just breathe into whatever sensation you're feeling. 2 more breaths. And then slowly walk the hands forward, coming back into that tabletop. Go ahead, untuck the toes, make some circles with the ankles, maybe squeeze the toes in, do whatever you need to do with your feet to kind of recover from that intense stretch. And then we're going to take one leg back behind us, tucking the toes, pressing slightly back into that left leg. So pressing into the heel, pressing into the ball of the foot. Should feel a nice stretch in the calf, maybe the back of the ankle here. If you're not feeling anything, you can walk your hands a little further forward to give yourself more leverage, to push back a little bit further. Breathe here. On your next exhale, bring that left leg back down. Let's switch sides. So right leg extends, tuck the toes under, press back. Long, deep breaths here. Really breathe into the back of that right leg. And on your next exhale, bring the right knee back down. Take the hands about as wide as your shoulders. Really spread the fingers nice and wide. Glue the fingertips down. Glue the palms down. Tuck the toes under. Hug the top of the arm bone into the shoulder socket. And then lift the hips up and back to downward facing dog. Putting as much of a bend in your knees that you need here. So it's not about straight legs. It's about the integrity of the spine. So bend the knees, bring your belly towards the tops of your thighs, deepening the crease at the top of each thigh. Let your head hang heavy and your spine be long. 3 more deep breaths here in down dog. If you'd like, you can pedal the feet, alternating bending one knee deeply and then the other. Or you can find stillness, whichever you prefer today. On your next inhale, go ahead and find stillness in the feet, and then we're going to slowly take a easy stroll with the feet towards the hands, coming towards the top of your hands. Feet are hips distance apart. Bend those knees and drape the body over the legs. Head hangs heavy in a standing forward fold. On your next inhale, we're going to start to roll up nice and slow through the spine,
No rush here. Take your sweet time to slowly roll up, vertebrae by vertebrae, letting the head stay heavy until the very end, coming up to mountain pose. So go ahead and set up your blocks along the back side of your mat, like so, if you have your blocks. And then we're gonna face the long end of our mat, and we're gonna step the feet nice and wide. So about 4 to 6 feet. A good rule of thumb is that your ankles are under your wrists if you extend your arms. So toes pointing straight forward, so the outer blades of the feet are parallel to each other. We're coming into a wide-legged forward fold. Now, if your hamstrings are super tight, go ahead and grab your blocks now. Set them up in front of you, and that's where your hands are gonna come. So, with the toes pointing forward, legs engaged, squeeze the quads, lift the kneecaps. Start to hinge forward from the hips, long spine, draw the navel in, keeping the core engaged. Option to take the hands to blocks, option to take the hands to the floor, or keep your hands on your waist, whatever feels best, as we come into this standing, wide-legged forward fold. Try to bring the weight a little bit further forward into the balls of your feet so that your hips are in line with your heels. Sometimes our hips tend to track behind the heels in this forward fold, so allow yourself to rock forward just a little bit, knowing that you are supported by your hands. Head hangs heavy. Put a little micro bend in your knees. Make sure you're not locking out your knee joint. Keep the quads engaged by lifting up through the kneecaps, as if you were lifting the kneecaps towards the hips. On your next inhale, you're going to come up halfway, so bring the spine parallel to the floor, maybe bringing the hands onto those blocks, lengthen through the back of the neck. Exhale. Bring the hands onto your waist and inhale to come the rest of the way up to stand. Now in this wide-legged stance, we're going to turn the right toes out 90 degrees so that they're pointing towards the short end of the mat. The left heel comes back 45 degrees. We should have this nice heel arch alignment here in this warrior two stance. So go ahead and bend that right knee, stacking right knee over right ankle, square the shoulders towards the long end of the mat. Pull the core in, lengthen the tailbone down, reach the arms away from the shoulders for warrior two. You can take the gaze over the right fingertips here, and we'll be here in warrior two for 3 more breaths. Grounding down through the right heel and the outer blade of the left foot. Keep those legs engaged and active. Lift up through the top of your head. Pull the belly in. Good. On your next inhale, start to straighten through that right knee. We're transitioning to triangle pose. So keeping the arms extended, we're going to start to hinge forward, reaching through those right fingertips, bumping that left hip out behind you. Reach, 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 lengthening the right side body. Option here, grab the block, place it on the inside of your right foot. And then we'll exhale to lower the hand either down to the thigh, onto the shin, or onto the block, reaching the left arm high to the sky. Option here, left hand, left hip. What you do with your gaze is up to you. You can look straight ahead, you can look up towards the hand, or down towards the foot, if that makes you feel more balanced. And you always have the option to practice triangle pose with your back against a wall, especially if you're feeling a little wobbly. Pull the core in, really zipper up the low abs, knit them together, lengthening evenly through both sides of the waist. Notice if one side is kind of crunching down. Instead, we want to lengthen through the bottom waist, the bottom side of your waist. On your next inhale, start to press through that right foot to come back up. Exhale, hands to hips, and we're gonna switch sides. So square the toes towards the long end of the mat, and then we'll turn the left toes out 90 degrees. Right heel comes back 45 degrees. Find that heel arch alignment through the feet. Square your shoulders towards the long end of the mat and bend that left knee to stack it over the left ankle. Finding that warrior two stance with the legs. Reach the arms away, strong, powerful arms parallel with the floor. Draw your navel in, lengthen your tailbone down as you reach up through the crown of the head, creating that long space between the vertebrae of the spine. Take the gaze forward over the left fingertips. 2 more breaths. Beautiful. Start to straighten the left knee. And then we're going to come into triangle pose. So set your block up on the inside of your left foot if you're using a block. Reach through those left fingertips. Kick the right hip back behind you. Reach, reach, reach. Keeping a soft bend in that left knee. Take the left hand down to the thigh, shin, or block. Reach the right arm high to the sky. Good. Breathe here. Lengthen through the bottom of your waist. So these low ribs right here, make sure you're drawing the low ribs up out of the pelvis. Your neck is in line with the rest of the spine. You can look up, you can look down. Just make sure the cervical spine is in line with the rest of your spine. One more deep, beautiful breath. On your next inhale, press through that left foot to start to come up. Exhale the hands to your hips. Turn the toes forward towards the long end of your mat. Grab one block and place it in front of your mat where your face would be if you hinged forward. Okay, we're gonna use that block for underneath our hand. So we're gonna come back into that standing wide-legged forward fold. So start to hinge forward from the hips, keeping that nice long spine. And then you'll take both hands down to the floor, or you can take them back onto blocks if you're not quite there to the floor yet. I want you to take one block underneath your face, and you're gonna plant the right hand on top of that block on whatever height setting feels good to you. Left hand to left hip, and then we're gonna twist open, bringing that left shoulder, spiraling the left shoulder towards the ceiling. Twisting the chest towards the left side of the room. Long spine here. Draw the navel in. If you'd like to take it deeper, you can reach that left arm up towards the ceiling. Deep breaths here. Keep those legs super active. Squeeze the quads, lift the kneecaps. On your next exhale, float the left hand back down. Replace the right hand with your left. Take right hand to right hip. We're twisting in the other direction now, so start to open up the chest towards the right side of the room. Option to stay here or to reach that right arm high to the sky. Legs are still active. Soften the jaw, relax the face. Telescope the spine up out of the pelvis. On your next exhale, slowly bring that right hand back down to the ground. Bend your knees. Take both hands down to the floor as you heel toe the feet into a narrower stance. And we're gonna drop the hips down to come into malasana, or that yogi squat. So drop your tailbone towards the floor. Weight is in your heels, tracking your kneecaps in line with the second and third toe. If you can't come all the way down, then having a higher squat is totally okay here. Do what feels good in your body and do what's available to you. And you can always use this block and take your seat down onto the block and do the squat that way. A great option for you. Elbows on the insides of the knees, pressing slightly out for a stretch through the inner thighs. And then we are going to transition all the way down onto our seat. So however you need to safely get down onto your bum, come all the way down. And then we're going to transition to some
Leg stretches down here on the floor, so extend your legs long into Dandasana or staff pose. Bend the left knee. Take the left sole of foot to the inner right thigh. Turn your torso towards that right foot. Inhale the arms up. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips. Reach towards that right foot, but not necessarily grabbing it if it's not available to you. Think about reaching your heart towards the foot instead. Drawing the belly down towards the right thigh, keeping that right leg active, flexing through the right foot. On your next inhale, start to walk the hands back in. You're gonna bring this left knee back just a little bit to open up the hips slightly. Bend that right knee a little bit. You're gonna hook the right elbow on the inside of the right knee, revolving the shoulders open. And then start to straighten that right leg as far as it wants to go. And we're coming into a revolved variation of this same pose. So we have the elbow hooked on the inside of the right knee. Sweep that left arm up and overhead for revolved Janu Sirsasana. And you can play with the positioning of your shoulders here. So you may find that it feels really good to open up through the chest, spiral the left shoulder up towards the ceiling. And it also may feel really good for you to kind of close the shoulders slightly. So wherever your body needs to feel the stretch today, adjust that top arm and the rotation of your shoulders to make sure that it feels really nice. Breathe into the left side of your low back. You're really stretching into the QL muscle here. On your next inhale, we're gonna start to come back up. Use your left hand to bring that left knee in. You'll square the hips back to the short end of your mat. Take the left foot, bring it all the way across the right thigh. Now, option to stay here, or you can bend that bottom knee, tucking your right foot in next to your left hip for half Lord of the Fishes pose. You'll take the right hand to the outside of the left knee. Bring the left hand behind for balance. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, twist towards your top thigh. And you're welcome to re-straighten the right leg. If you're in the pose and you realize that there's a little twinge, if you're feeling anything in your knee, then feel free to just straighten the bottom leg. Keep that right leg long. Hopefully you're feeling a stretch through this outer hip here, maybe the IT band area. Also a stretch through the sides of your waist as we twist. Breathe deep here. Good, release, make your way back to center. We're gonna reset in Dandasana. So go ahead and re-extend both legs, and then we're gonna switch sides. So bend the right knee now, take the sole of your right foot to the inner left thigh. Turn your shoulders towards that left foot. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hinge forward from the hips, letting the hands land wherever they land. Reaching the heart forward towards the left foot and drawing the belly down towards the left thigh. 3 to 4 deep breaths here. On your next inhale, make your way back up. You can open up the hips a little bit by shifting that right hip slightly back. Bend your left knee, tuck the elbow of the left arm on the inside of the left knee. Start to revolve the shoulders open and then re-straighten that left leg. Sweep the right arm up and overhead for your revolved variation. Reaching through the fingertips. Cultivating some softness in the upper body by relaxing the jaw, softening the shoulders, releasing tension out of the neck and throat. And again, playing with the positioning of that top shoulder. So maybe really opening up, spiraling up towards the ceiling, or maybe slightly closing that right shoulder down. Find what feels good for you. On your next inhale, start to make your way back up, nice and slow. Use your right hand to help the right knee in. We're gonna take that right foot across the left thigh. Make sure you re-square your hips to the short end of the mat. Option to stay here, or option to bend the left knee, tucking the left heel in near the right glute into half Lord of the Fishes. Take your left hand to the outside of the right knee. Right hand comes behind for balance. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, twist to the right. Make sure the twist is happening in the midsection, the area of the abs and the shoulders, not in the hips. We don't want to be moving the hips. We want those to stay stationary. Stack the center of your chest over your pelvic bowl and the crown of your head over the center of your chest. Inhale to make your way back to center, unravel yourself, and we are going to transition onto your belly. So you can cross the ankles and transition forward all the way onto chest and belly, however you'd like to get there. Take your right arm across the front of your body, parallel to the short end of the mat. Bend your left knee. If you can't reach your left foot, then go ahead and grab a strap or a rolled up towel. If you can reach your left foot, bring that left foot in towards your seat for a quad stretch. If you'd like to deepen the stretch, press your hips further down into the floor. Deep breaths here. Given a lot of love to the hamstrings so far, but we can't forget about the quads. On your next exhale, slowly release that left foot. Let it float down. Don't let it slap down on the mat. And let's switch sides. So left forearm in front. Bend the right knee. Reach back. Reach for the right foot using a strap or a prop if you need. If you can't reach it all the way, no worries. That's what props are for. And then draw that right heel in towards your right glute. To deepen your experience, press the hips down into the floor. On your next exhale, slowly release the right leg. Take the hands underneath the shoulders. Press up to tabletop, hands and knees. Bring the big toes together to touch and take the knees wide. Sit the hips back towards the heels as we come to our final pose, child's pose. Resting your forehead down on the mat or onto a block. If you need to prop yourself up in any way with a blanket between the calves and the thighs, go ahead and do so. If you need a block underneath your head, go ahead and do so. Bend your elbows slightly, bringing the hands more toward each other so that you can really relax the shoulders and the traps. And then take some big, deep, diaphragmatic breaths here. Letting your body get heavy. Shoulders relax down. Hips relax down.
taking this time for some quiet reflection. Asking yourself, how am I showing up? How am I showing up in my life? Am I showing up as the leader? Or am I showing up as the follower? If you're showing up as the leader, ask yourself, how could I lead myself better, with more kindness and compassion? If you're the follower, without judgment, ask yourself, what can I do to step more into a role of leader? Take some time to reflect on these questions throughout your day. Remember, without judgment, without expectation, simply with a kind curiosity. We'll end our practice here. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. I hope your legs feel refreshed and rejuvenated, and you feel ready to take on the rest of your day. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Namaste.